So 2024 just ended and it's now 2025. Happy New Year, everyone, and I hope this year will be better than the last, or at least it won't suck as much. And because another year just ended, I wanted to make an obligatory best of 2024 video. If you can see, there's a talking to the anime girl on your screen, and well, I decided to have a YouTube persona, kind of like a VTuber. And because I don't have the money or skills to actually make a live 2D type of anime avatar or persona, I settled for a flat 2D drawing. Also, I changed my name. Meet Alex Reiko. She's my anime persona for the meantime. It might change in the future, who knows, but I hope you like her. So back to the best of 2024 list. When I had this idea, it came upon me in the most cliche manner, which was while taking a shower. While I was in the bathroom, I was reminded of the recent videos I've been seeing. The YouTube algorithm has been recommending videos of my favorite YouTubers making their top 10 lists of 2024. So basically, I'm just stealing this idea from those people. Before anything else, I just want to clarify that this list isn't a ranking. Number one doesn't mean it's the best, but I think in this case it will be. More on that later. But, anyways, don't think too much about the numbering or the order of things. This is not from the thing I like the most to the thing I like the least, or vice versa. It's just a list of things I liked or loved in 2024, and the order is somewhat random. Anyways, let's get right into it. Number 1. Number 1 on my list is Dandadan. If you watched my previous video, you wouldn't be surprised that it's here and that it's number 1. I freaking love this anime and I think it's the anime of the year for me. I've been a long-time fan of Masaki Yuasa and Science Saru, and although Yuasa didn't work on this anime, the fact that his studio made it made the anime even more special for me. I love the subject matter of the anime because I'm a horror fan, and this anime deals with the paranormal like ghosts and even aliens. Although I wouldn't say the show is scary, it's more of a comedy and falls under the shonen genre. It does have some creepy elements to it, but it's really not scary at all. I love the art style and animation, and its take on the shonen genre feels so unique for me. If you still haven't watched Dandadan, I highly recommend it, and it's really no surprise that it immediately became the new hit anime and is well beloved by weebs across the globe. Number 2. Next on my list is Beanie. Now, here's the thing, I'm not really a fan of P-pop or Pinoy pop. And I definitely wouldn't even call myself a K-pop fan, although I like some K-pop songs and groups. I love old OPM, which is original Filipino music for the foreigners out there, and you could say that P-pop could fall under the same category because it's music made by Filipinos, but it is a subgenre, and OPM for me has a different vibe overall. I grew up listening to Filipino music and the old classic rock bands of the 90s like Eraserheads and Parokya ni Edgar. I'm a fan of Up Dharma Down and various other Pinoy rock or indie rock bands in the Philippines. But P-pop to me during its early years felt like it didn't have a unique identity. It felt like hopping on a trend which was K-pop and didn't really add anything new to the genre of music by Asian idol groups. I'm gonna go full on pretentious a-hole and say P-pop felt derivative and unoriginal at first. Now, if there are P-pop fans who will find this video, come at me, go do so. I am fully aware that I'm being pretentious, but that's my opinion. To be fair, I feel like majority of K-pop sounds uninspiring and unoriginal as well. I'm not a big fan of K-pop in general. They're catchy and mainstream for a reason because they're manufactured in a way so that a lot of people will enjoy them. And anyways, you can say that about pop in general. And there's nothing wrong with that. My point is, I'm not a K-pop fan, but that doesn't mean I hate all K-pop songs and K-pop groups. But I did dislike most P-pop groups when they first started trying this thing. SB19, I think, was the first one that really gained legitimate and solid popularity, even outside of the Philippines. Gonna be honest though, their songs aren't for me. I'm not gonna say that they're bad. Gento was catchy, and I'm sure if I tried to listen to more than one song of theirs, they probably do have a bunch of cool songs. My point is, the ones I've heard didn't speak to me personally. It's a personal preference and not an attack to the group. Anyway, sorry for yapping, but I needed to give context as to how I'm quite honestly surprised I enjoyed Beanie so much that they became a number one artist for the year, and I felt like a normie Filipino. This is not a dig at Beanie or, well, normies in general. It's just that usually I don't listen to the mainstream Pinoy songs nowadays. I'm a millennial and I prefer the old school stuff. Shout out to Lola Amor though. Raining in Manila is a banger and it's one of the few new OPMs I deeply love. I sing that every time I'm doing karaoke. Anyway, back to Beanie. At first, I didn't like their arguably most famous song, Pantropico, but it was Salamin Salamin that caught my attention. It was a bop and it was catchy. I get why people love them. It's a very girly pop or bubblegum pop. Then I saw a clip on Twitter of their a cappella rehearsal for Lagi, and that's what sold me to the group. They sound amazing without autotune, which isn't surprising. Come on, they're professional Filipino singers. But aside from the impressive vocals, I just really vibed with the song Lagi. I don't know what about it really put me on a chokehold. Maybe it was seeing the raw talent of these wonderful and beautiful ladies, or maybe it was a feeling of listening to an old Filipino pop song from my childhood. Whatever it is, Lagi became my number one song on Spotify. I listen and dance to it every day even now. I still wouldn't call myself a hardcore Beanie fan. I haven't listened to all their songs. I still don't know the names of the members, and I honestly think some of their songs are still kinda mid. Beanie fans, don't attack me, it's just a personal opinion and preference. But the thing is, Beanie surprised me and they really have changed my opinion of P-pop and made me more excited about the genre. Number 3, Sabrina Carpenter. All her songs are bangers and she's hot. Enough said. Number 4, Poor Things. When I was thinking about the movie I truly enjoyed in 2024, it was this. When I was thinking about a movie I truly enjoyed in 2024, it was this. I know it came out in 2023, but I watched it early last year. It was such a creative take on Frankenstein's monster. Apparently, the film is an adaptation of a book of the same name written by Alasdair Gray, and it's a postmodern retelling of Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. The thing that made this my favorite was probably the visuals. It was so surrealistic and just goddamn beautiful. I loved Emma Stone's performance, and well, the Oscars loved it too because she won an Oscar for it. Some would argue Lily Gladstone deserved it more, and that's a controversial topic. I'd love to agree with them, but I have yet to watch Killers of the Flower Moon, so I don't really have an objective opinion on the matter. To be honest, they're probably right because although I loved Emma Stone's performance, I don't think it's the best performance of a female actress I've seen, so yeah, maybe Lily Gladstone did deserve it more. But the thing is, her performance was good enough that it didn't take away from my enjoyment of the film, and that's what's important. Mark Ruffalo, on the other hand, though, I loved him so much in this film. Like, damn, he was so enjoyable to watch as an arrogant, horny man who became obsessed with Bella Baxter, Emma's character. A lot of the metaphors are very on the nose, like the mad scientist being named Godwin Baxter, and we could also get into how controversial the subject matter of the film is. But I won't get into it. To me, the film had feminist ideas which I appreciate, and Bella Baxter as a character just fascinates me, and I understand Mark Ruffalo's character's obsession with her. I love her character development and how the film ended. But most of all, I just really think it was a visually stunning film with surreal elements. And if you're into really weird, artsy films and are okay with a lot of sexual themes and nudity, then I think you should give it a shot. Number 5, Wicked. So speaking of films, the most recent one I saw in the cinema was Wicked. I have never watched the play or even a bootleg copy of it, but because I watched Glee, I was subjected to its most popular song, Defying Gravity. And without even knowing about the play, it became one of my most favorite songs in Glee. Say what you want about how shitty Glee was, but it was enjoyable. And as an uncultured teenager from the Philippines, it introduced me to a lot of songs and music, including songs from Wicked. so my only prior knowledge of Wicked songs was from the Glee rendition. Although I have watched and heard clips of Edina and Kristen's original versions before watching the film. Although I haven't watched the musical itself, I think the movie did the musical justice. And although it isn't a perfect film, I think the essence and heart of Wicked was very much there because of the two main cast. Cynthia Erivo was perfect for Elphaba. I mean, for her vocals alone, she deserves the role, no doubt. And in terms of the emotional aspect and the acting, she did a great job. She was made for this role, and the moment I heard she was Elphaba, I knew she'd be perfect for it. I first knew about her because of the Terrell show, and if you became a fan of hers through Wicked, you should check out that episode. I'll leave a link in the description. It's a spiritual experience. Like, after watching that video, I just knew Elphaba is in the right hands. So, I really wasn't surprised by how amazing she was as Elphaba. I expected her to be phenomenal, and goddamn, she delivered. I hope she gets an Oscar nomination for this. I mean, she already has completed the EGOT nominations. She's truly goated, and I really hope the Oscars acknowledges her performance here as well. Now, Ariana, I'm sort of a fan of Ariana, but not gonna lie, I was influenced by her haters in terms of her personal life. But my opinion of her personal character aside, when it comes to singing, I've always been a fan of Ariana from the very start, and I really enjoyed a lot of her songs. I still think Dangerous Woman is her best album and one of the best albums of the previous decade. In terms of acting, I wasn't really a fan. I just know she was in that Nickelodeon show, Victorious, so I didn't watch it and I wasn't really impressed with what I saw, and she cameoed in a few shows and movies, but I guess it wasn't fair to judge her based on those past acting jobs because, well, those weren't serious roles. But I do think she proved herself in Wicked. She embodied that role. She really became Glinda, and honestly, she's one of the best parts of the film, and rightfully so because she's the second lead. If she messed up, the whole thing would crumble, and she did a phenomenal job at playing Glinda, and I'm even impressed by her dancing. Like, wow, stellar performance. Her voice is amazing as always, but I was even more impressed by the operatic parts of her songs, which she said she trained for. And she also said she wanted to pay homage to Kristen's version of Glinda, but Kristen said that she should make the character her own, and I think Ariana's interpretation of it is amazing because it's still true to the character, but it fit Ariana's personality as well. She really did make the character her own, and she truly understood the character. I love both versions, Kristen's and Ariana's, and I actually hope Ariana gets an Oscar nomination for this. She might even win, who knows. So overall, I love the film. It made me appreciate the songs even more, and I can't wait for part 2. Number 6. Next on my list is Free Body Problem. So, Dandadan is my favorite anime of 2024, but I wouldn't say Free Body Problem is my favorite show of 2024. However, I want to highlight this show because I feel like it's so underrated. Another underrated show that I would like to give an honorable mention to is From. If you're a horror fan and you're not watching From, you're doing yourself a disservice. You gotta watch it. It's one of the best survival horrors out there. Like, imagine if The Walking Dead was written by the writers of Lost and the monsters aren't zombies but weirder and smarter. Like, seriously, go check it out if you haven't. It's my favorite show last year. But I'm choosing to talk about Free Body Problem because it's on Netflix, and Netflix has a tendency to cancel most of their new shows. I feel like most people didn't really appreciate Free Body Problem enough, and to some degree I understand those people. The show is far from perfect, and I can understand why a lot of people thought it was boring. The pacing was kinda shit, I understand that. For those who don't know and haven't watched it, Free Body Problem is a sci-fi show written and produced by the guys who made Game of Thrones. Yeah, that show that's arguably the most popular show in the world but flopped so hard in its last season that the whole world collectively agreed it had one of the shittiest ending ever. Yes, those guys. But Free Body Problem is also an adaptation of the Remembrance of the Earth's Past trilogy, written by Cixin Liu. Free Body Problem is the first book of the trilogy. Because it's a trilogy, the story has already ended. I am hoping that because the story is completed, David Benioff and DB Weiss won't mess up the ending this time because they won't have to come up with an ending out of their asses. Look, I love this show because I'm a fan of cosmic horror, and the ideas presented in this show creep me out. And it's what I love about cosmic horror. If you love sci-fi and sci-fi horror or thrillers, you really need to give this a chance. Number 7. Frieren. I'm a weeb and I've watched a lot of animes, but I still have a lot of animes that I haven't watched. And I've heard through the grapevines of the weeb community that the fantasy genre is shit because of mindless cash grabs called isekais. I'm a millennial and to be honest, isekais back in my day were goated. I don't know what happened, but I blame Sword Art Online for polluting the genre and making it a cesspool of goonery and unoriginal slop. But Frieren is not an isekai. Frieren is a masterpiece. It's such a unique take on the fantasy genre and it made me appreciate it. While watching Frieren, I realized there are so many things about the fantasy genre, especially fantasy anime, that I do love and appreciate. I love the power systems in anime, and Frieren's magic system is probably one of the best in the genre. This made me excited for Witch Hat Atelier because, from what I've heard from the manga readers, the magic system in that is way more complex and structured. But what got me hooked on Frieren is the unique storytelling. We're used to seeing the heroes journeying from the POV of the great warrior, and we usually see them fighting in their prime. Most fantasy genre is from the perspective of a young man who embark on a journey. Oftentimes, they're unexperienced at the start, and they become the renowned hero at the end. But Frieren subverts all those tropes by telling it from the perspective of an almost immortal female elf who is hundreds of years old and whose great adventures have come and gone. So now we see her deal with the aftermath of that. This anime makes you realize that you shouldn't take the time you spend with your friends and loved ones for granted because nothing is permanent. The story highlights the impermanence of the good times in our lives, so we should make every second count and make sure to live life with no regrets. If you're an anime fan or a fan of the fantasy genre, I highly recommend trying this. There's a reason why, as of making this video, it's currently number 1 on my anime list, beating Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which held the number 1 spot for years. Number 8. Zenless Zone Zero. I'm not really a gamer. I don't usually finish the games I play, and I can count in one hand the games that I have finished. Kingdom Hearts 2, Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, Life is Strange, and Dramatical Murder. 2 of those games are visual novels and not really your typical video games. I've heard of Genshin Impact. I tried Genshin. I also tried Honkai Star Rail, but I never got hooked in those. But then Zenless Zone Zero dropped, and CDawg VA played it, and I was interested, so I tried it. And up to now, I'm still playing it. I understood the gacha system. I know why people get addicted to this thing and why it's as dangerous as gambling because it is in fact gambling. But you don't win money. You win PNG waifus and husbandos. But I never really truly got it before playing Zenless Zone Zero. This is the first time I really understood how to do the 10 pulls and lose a 50-50 and things like that. I lost the 50-50 when I tried to get Miyabi, and each and every day I'm losing hope I'll get her. Pray for me, fellow gacha addicts. Help me manifest getting this cute fox girl or whatever furry animal she's supposed to be. Anyway, I am a free-to-play gacha gamer. I still haven't spent a single dime on any of the gacha games I've played, and I intend to do that until I'm monetized here. Manifesting I get monetized soon. Maybe I'll even stream games in the future. Who knows? Anyway, I don't know exactly why ZZZ worked for me while Genshin and Honkai Star Rail didn't. But my theory is, in terms of gameplay, there's just something about the fight sequences in ZZZ that I didn't quite feel in Genshin, especially in HSR because that one is a turn-based action RPG. Like whenever I fight those alien-looking hollow monsters, I can immediately feel the dopamine hit. The gameplay during fight scenes just feels so smooth, and that also goes with the overall animation of ZZZ. Everything just feels so smooth and fluid. And maybe you could say this about Genshin or HSR as well, but I didn't play them enough to really notice how smooth the animations were. Also, maybe the aesthetic of ZZZ just spoke to me more. I really dig this semi cyberpunk sci fi look. Oh, and by the way, they have real furries, like male furries, not just guys with cat ears. No, like a bipedal wolfman and a literal bear. They really widen their demographic here, and I very much approve of this move. If you're still not interested in playing this game, maybe that's for the best. Gacha games are highly addictive, and I wouldn't want to influence anyone to end up getting into that because of an anime game. But if you have some discipline and won't put an insane amount of money into these gacha games, then you can try playing Zenless Zone Zero. Number 9. Infinity Nikki. From one gacha game to another, I was once again influenced to play another gacha by another trash-taste boy, Garnt. I saw him play this and was immediately interested, and so I pre-registered. Apparently they were old Nikki games, but I have never played them. Gigok's Infinity Nikki video was the first time I've heard of this game. It looked so fun and cozy. And the idea of a dress-up game but make it Genshin was so unique to me. I don't have a Nintendo Switch and I've never played Breath of the Wild, but apparently some people who worked on this as well. And it shows because it does look beautiful. I do love the aesthetic of this game. It has the late 2000s or early 2010s JRPG aesthetic. I don't know how to fully explain it, but the visuals give that vibe. I do enjoy the dress up part of the game as well as the gameplay itself. The battles themselves are fairly easy, but then I'm still at level 18, so maybe they get harder as I play the game. I also drew my Nikki, by the way. I linked the short in the description. Anyway, like I said, this game is really cozy, and if you want a more laid back, fun game to play after a stressful day, I highly suggest trying this new gacha game. And yes, it's a gacha. You pull for the dresses and the outfits. I'm also free to play in this game. Good luck to all of us who are broke and choose to play without spending money. Number 10. Trash Taste. I have never been obsessed with a podcast. I used to only watch a lot of self-help podcasts that honestly become boring after a few listens. On some occasions, I also listen to some comedy podcasts that become edgy, racist, sexist, or bigoted in just a few minutes of listening. Then one day, I saw this YouTube short about a podcast talking about their favorite hentai animes, and I was like, well, shit, I guess I have to watch this now. To those of you who aren't familiar with them, Trash Taste is a podcast consisting of Joey the Anime Man, Garnt aka Gigok, and Connor aka Sea-Dog VA. I'm sort of familiar with each of them independently, but I wouldn't call myself a fan of theirs before watching Trash Taste. But after watching the hentai episode, I realized these guys are freaking hilarious. This is the first time where I honestly am excited to watch every new episode of a podcast. You know me, I'm a weeb, so a lot of the shit they talk about I relate to or I'm really interested in. But aside from the weeb shit, the three of them just being themselves and sometimes literally just talking about shit is damn entertaining. They don't even talk about anime most of the time. They're known to be the anime podcast that rarely talks about anime. And despite the name of their podcast, I don't think their takes are all trash, and I think most of their fans don't either, considering how successful their podcast is. I also have to mention that one of the reasons I even started this YouTube channel is because of them. Just watching them have so much fun doing the things they love and talking about anything under the sun that they're interested in finally pushed me to just start this channel. I really love it if one day I can also make money just doing the shit I love or talking about the things I'm passionate about. Anyways, if you still haven't watched any of their podcasts and you're even remotely into anime, you really should give them a listen. So that's it for my best of 2024. It was a wild year, a lot of shit happened, some good, some bad, but I'm just grateful I'm still here and I can keep on doing this, and hopefully I can make more videos in 2025. I'm excited for the new things that I will discover and like this new year, and I'm looking forward to new experiences and hopefully a better and kinder year for all of us. By the way, the music I use for this video is made by yours truly. If you enjoyed it or if you want to use it for your own video or whatever, I put a link in the description. If you're gonna use it, just please credit and link the original video. Anyways, Happy New Year again, everyone. If you still haven't, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Hope you enjoyed this long ass video. Thank you for watching. Bye!